Okay, my name is Ingo Horn. I'm communication director for the consoles at wargaming.net.
Now, you guys also changed the mechanics for the aircraft carriers and the way that that you control jets or airplanes in this game. Was that something that was going to happen organically, or did it just come about because you were making this move to console gaming?
So that's definitely something which Wargaming is generally watching. We are looking how our players engage into the game, how they behave into the game, and we are continuously evolving our games. So this change on the PC had nothing to do with the factor that we are developing a game on console in a different way. So that was totally separate. In terms of what carriers are going to be in the console version, I'm not able to talk about that right now because we are currently evaluating what would be the best way and what would be the best fitting way for the audience as well to play them. It could be in theory as well that we are putting them out because it's impossible or it's not matching the ones. I don't think so, but we are very open in the development for everything which is there or which should be there.
Let's talk about submarines. Submarines are something that you guys recently announced would be coming to Warships. How does that change the strategy, and how hard was it to sort of figure out where the submarines were going to fit in the overall balance of the game?
Well, the submarines are now in for the Halloween mode. So this is something what we are calling a seasoned mode, which is only there for 2-3 weeks where the people are able to play. That doesn't mean necessarily that the submarines will stay into the game. So they are there in this particular game mode. But as I said, Wargaming is continuously evolving their games, and of course we are collecting data and user behavior in terms of the submarines, where it might be the case that we get learnings out of that there is a high demand as well to implement them on a regular basis as a new type of ships into the game. I'm not able to talk about that because I simply do not know that yet, because the Halloween mode is right now at service for you out there. But as always, the sky's the limit for our Wargaming titles, and we can make everything possible as long as the audience is demanding it and it is working and not crashing the whole balancing of the game. Because the biggest issue of Submarine in general is that they are adding a third dimension into it. And if you have played World of Warplanes, for example, you figured out that a lot of players have difficulties adding a third dimension into a game. Two-dimensional things, left, right, front and back, is something where most of our people, our audience, and even myself is capable of. But if I add a third dimension on that, it's already potentially a glimpse too much for several players to control. So therefore, if the submarines will end up to be in the game also on a long-term base, they for sure will find their audience who are specialized in these kind of things, in the same way like we have specialized players who are playing the air carriers, for example. But on the other side, there are a lot of players who prefer to have the destroyer or the battleships and do not want to touch the air carriers or the submarines later. So by that, we are offering a new opportunity, new possibilities to the player, but it is optional. No player needs to use that. No player needs to control an air carrier if he or she is not willing to do so, because our games are necessarily made to be fun for the player, and you should choose whatever you want to play.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the more faster pace for the consoles. Like how much retooling or rebalancing of the various ships did you guys have to do in order to keep going into a faster version of the game?
That's the magic behind making no port of a game. If you make a port, it's more like the one-to-one in terms of all the values, the different numbers and statistics and stuff like that. So that's the easy thing. If you're doing a complete new way to program the one, although it is the same development team doing it, you have the ability, of course, as well to readjust things a little bit here, maybe a little bit more there. But in the end, it's an own game where you, of course, the game doesn't change. You're in the sea, you're firing at each other and stuff like that. But you're able to adjust and rebalance things. And that is something which is for the team extremely important, to watch out for potential balance issues, for potential, even bugs and features which should not be there or could be abused for the players. And that's why for us, the closed alpha and the closed beta is really an important thing, because if we from the development team are playing or from the publishing house, that's one thing. But if there are thousands or 10,000s of players from outside are playing, which have no interest in developing the game, but only enjoying the game and potentially find things which we never considered that they might be happening, that's a high value for us. And we really value what the players are doing for us, the feedback the players are giving to us, and we are readjusting things as well based on the player feedback. If several players are complaining about these kind of things or that kind of thing, or suggesting this or that, we are considering implementing things like that. And that's what Wargaming is about, that we listen to the player if it is possible, of course. Sometimes they make suggestions or they even demand things which are impossible because of the balancing of things like that, but at least we try to listen to what their ideas, their vision is, because in the end we make our games for them.
Now, talking about the players, we're here at TwitchCon right now.
It's like on every show out there, never mind if it's E3, Gamescom, TwitchCon, the very Tokyo Game Show. It is important for us to talk to our players, and where could you do it better than on these kind of shows? It is no matter if it's a small streamer, if it's a big streamer, or if it's just a fan who is coming here. For us, it's really important to talk to our audience, to show our audience what we have at place. We have here a cool AR, VR prototype which is working on a table, and you can really see a 3D model of the map and play around with it. That is something which we really enjoy, talking to nerds, talking to wargaming nerds, talking to tankers, talking to ships players, and as well engage with them. On the other hand, of course, it's really essential for us as well to talk not only to media like you, but also to influencers, which became more and more important over and over, because most of the influencers started as enthusiastic gamer who just entertained their audience, and so they are really those kind of base where we are building our success on. When World of Tanks was launched in 2010, nobody could ever imagine that we are reaching such a huge audience over there. We have over 17 million players for the consoles alone, and over 180 million players on the PC version, and 100 million plus on the mobiles. We would never have dreamed about that in the beginning, and therefore we are contributing something towards our players, visiting them, meeting them here at TwitchCon, giving them some t-shirts, some code, talking to them what the positive, what the negative things are in their vision. And then we are as well analyzing this and talking about that with the dev team. That is the feedback from the US audience, because they are sometimes a little bit different from the European audience, for example, as console is a big thing, especially Xbox over here in the States. So from that perspective, it's really important for us to talk to our base, to our users at events like this.